Alright, so normally I do these videos on Friday, but just kind of had a weird energy today, and kind of wanted to be out here in the backyard. We've got a lot of birds. It's kind of a nice, chill environment. And I had like a message that came through earlier this week, and it's been kind of coming through like throughout the week. So I kind of wanted to put that out here. I actually had to write it down because this was like one of those like staged messages that I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to like channel it in the moment and bring it to people. So as it was coming to me, I was capturing them and writing them down. Um, this one's kind of weird because it's like, so it's about choices, all right? So we have a topic, choices. This has been boggling my mind because like so many people get hung up on the choices that they make. Yeah. And I kind of realized that like in my life I've kind of rewritten myself and my life and my surroundings and you know like many times as I've moved through life. So the choices that I made were not like it's not like a video game where like one choice created like a dead end and it was like that's it, you know? Um, it had a lot more to do with my perception of the choices. So I actually like broke it down and got like things here that made it so much simpler to understand. It's so basically the concept is I'm gonna have to actually pick up the book. There we go. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. So it's really not about the choices that we make in life, actually, surprisingly, as much as you'd like to think that it is. It has more to do with how you feel about the choices. So basically, how you feel about the choice when you're in it, and how you feel about it looking back on it, how you feel going into it. So I have things written down here. So one, what was the choice? And was it a choice? There you go. Was it a choice? Did you feel like you were forced into a situation where you really didn't have a choice? In which case, that's interesting. That's like a forced victim mindset thing. Look into that. Was it what you wanted? So the choice that you made, whatever it was, whether it's happening now or whether it happened in the past, looking back at the results, was it what you wanted? Did the choice give you the thing you thought it was going to give you? Did you allow yourself to see other choices? Were you so like tunnel vision at a moment in your life that you only saw the one choice as the only choice, which isn't a choice? You should be seeing multiple choices, multiple options. So did you see other choices? Were there other choices like on the table? Were you proud at the time that you made the choice? Proud of yourself, basically. Did you make the choice and have that moment where you felt like, yes, I feel good about myself? That's important. You want to note those things. You want to make sure you're aware of when those happen. Even if you look back and you're not proud about it later, if you were proud in the moment, there's something there. There's something interesting there. And then, did the choice or the after effects allow or cause or enable growth? This is kind of the big one. Gotta put this down, hang on. Yeah, so basically, if the choices that you made, even if they ended up having terrible consequences, and you beat yourself up over them because you feel like, they, like you were torturing yourself or you, whatever. If you allowed yourself to grow, if the situation allowed you to grow, or forced you to grow, or encouraged you to grow or change, then it was worth it. Basically, the idea being that anything that creates growth or anything that gives you an opportunity to see more about yourself than you originally saw is worth going through. Even if it's, painful and even if it seems like it's a setback. Soul growth is tricky. It doesn't always correlate with like financial stability growth or career growth or things like that. Sometimes like the real life things get kind of muddled. If you're trying to focus on all of those things and you don't allow your soul to grow, that's it's sad, really. So if you look back at all the choices in your past, say that you currently see a lot of your choices as either you made bad choices or you're just not you're not lucky. You had unlucky choices, right? Look back at your past and try to reframe them. So basically, number one, forgive yourself. Like whatever the choice was, forgive yourself. Like at the time you were, in a situation where you didn't have all the knowledge or you didn't have all the information or the facts. Or basically, you make the best choices you can based on what you have at the moment. And we get fixated so much on the choices that we forget about the feelings involved in them. So number one, forgive yourself for whatever the choice was, whatever the consequences were. You're not going to be able to let go and move on and break the pattern of those choices if you don't forgive yourself. So start there. Number two, understand yourself. Whoa. Try to figure out why you made the choice. There you go. Think about it. In real time, when you're in a situation where you're presented with a choice, start writing these things down. How do I feel about the choice? How am I perceiving this? Why is this a choice? Is there a choice in the first place? Do I have, a choice in the matter? But when you're looking back on it, start to understand why you made the choices, like allow yourself to be humbled and go, oh, I was coming from like a different mindset, or I was a little more immature at the time, or I was hung up on something, I was trying to like fixate on something else, I do that a lot, where I get hung up on one thing and I'm actually fixated on something else, and the thing that it looks like I'm fixated on isn't the real thing that I'm fixating on. The real thing I'm fixating on is almost always like completely unrelated. And it's usually having to do with nonlinear time, something to do with a nonlinear time concept that I'm just fixated on about something. But yeah, be careful about that fixation part. Number three, predict yourself. Hey, if you start actually keeping like track of the choices that you make and how you experienced them and how you grew from them and how you forgave yourself for them or are proud of yourself for them, you may actually start to be able to predict your own behavior, which is, for me, it just means I'm just going to throw, random events in front of myself so that I don't become too predictable even to myself. But if it is something where you are constantly struggling to understand why you do things, you may want to work through this so that you can start predicting your behavior. So for instance, if you know that you get emotional during a full moon, maybe not the best time to be in a situation with people who maybe prey on those emotions, energy vampiric people who like to get you to overly emote. If you know yourself and you start understanding yourself, some of those choices you made in the past won't even present themselves in the future because you'll already be able to predict where they're going to be, and you'll avoid them because you'll realize that, look, you've already grown from it. You don't need to make the same choices twice, Try to make different ones. Last thing, be at peace with yourself. If you sit here turning and tossing and turning all night long every night because of a choice that you've made either in the past or a week ago or currently or next week, a choice that you have to make, you're not at peace. You're not listening to your heart. Every choice you make should be from the heart. Your heart will tell you the right thing to do. It will be honest with you. It will guide you. You have to listen to it. The mind will give you all these other things. You have to quiet the mind. You have to be at peace with yourself. The more you understand all these things, the easier it will be to move through life. Yeah, so basically when any new choices appear throughout life, you go through these steps of understanding, why you see it as a choice, how you feel about the different choices, all of these kind of things. Really, not overanalyze it, but just be self-aware, self-reflective. Be aware in the moment of what's happening, and maybe keep a journal of it so that you can look back on it when you're outside of it, when you're distanced from whatever the events or the choices were, and you can see how you felt while you were going through it. And you'll remember things and go, it's funny, when I tell the story or when I remember it, I forget that when I was in it, I felt this way. We always kind of like project our current emotions about something onto how it was in the past, while not explaining that in the past, when it was happening, we had totally different emotions. Try to write those down and remember the emotions when you're going through it. It will tell you a lot about yourself. This is basically more for me, like I'm being honest, like all of this is stuff I'm working on, so I just felt like it was something I should share. Rarely do I share the stuff that I'm working on, like I write stuff down in the books that I'm channeling that's more for me. Usually when I'm doing videos or things like that or talking to people, I'm tapping into either their guides or something like that, and I'm giving more kind of tailored stuff. This is not tailored to anyone watching this video. I'm being attacked. My hair gets attacked a lot by critters. It's fun. This isn't tailored to anyone specifically. It's more something that I'm working through, and I don't necessarily know how it works yet, and I don't necessarily know like all of how to incorporate it. But that's how I'm seeing choices now. Stop worrying about the choice. Start getting more concerned about the feelings, the emotions, the why, all the stuff below that. We're getting so caught up in the level of choice and seeing everything as good and bad And there's no such thing. Every choice you're presented with has good and bad in them. It just depends on how you frame it. You know, I've had many friends go through the exact same situations, and when they tell the story based on how they frame it, I can tell what emotional state either they're in now or they were in at the time. So, if you're being haunted by choices from your past, or you're freaked out about choices coming up, or whatever, try to change the whole way you see them. Don't see them as like a video game where one choice is going to end in like a dead end, or, game over. Every choice is going to end in allowing you to have soul growth if you allow it to, and if you don't perceive it as being trapped or being forced into things. So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Alright, enjoy. Have a good day, guys.